Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Nabi Yusuf and his multicolored coat. I would like us to discuss the 10 brothers of Nabi Yusuf. Now, in the Quranic text, we know that the 10 brothers, they're debating. There's a discussion whether to kill their brother or to throw him in the well. In other prophetic traditions, in the biblical tradition, you know, they sell him into slavery, and there's a debate, a discussion, and they wind up going with throwing him in the well and selling him into slavery in the biblical tradition, if I'm remembering correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. It's been a long time since I did a compare and contrast of the biblical and Quranic texts. But this debate, according to some of the commentary I'd read a long time ago, it was saying that this debate was going on between the brothers because there was some softness. He was their brother. They were jealous. They were concerned about losing their inheritance to him, about being subservient to him. There were many different conflicting emotions in this. And apparently the older brother, you know, Judah, I believe, was the brother. You know, anytime an older brother within a collective leans towards something, most of the brothers fall in line. There might be some conflict, but the older brothers seem to be leaning toward getting rid of their brother. But some of them were trying to stick up and defend and maybe trying to talk the other brothers out of it. Oh, you know, like, let's not do anything. But eventually they all come to a consensus. And at the very least, they dropped him in the well. And then he's found and sold into slavery within the Quranic version. But regardless, he is hung out to dry. He's sent away. And then they said that he was dead. So they murdered their brother in the conversation with their father. They knew that he was alive, although he may have been dead when they pushed him into the well. I can imagine he was yelling out. He loved his brothers. I can imagine he was calling out to them long until after they were gone. You know, like, I'll do anything. I love you. Please, you know, please forgive me if I hurt you, if I disappointed you, if I let you down. This is very emotional if you think about it. It's devastating. This young boy, maybe a young teenager, you don't know exactly, but he has been dropped into this well. And then some of the commentary says there were snakes and scorpions in it. This is a death experience, you know, like he feels like he's going to die. He doesn't know what's going to happen. It's uncertain. It's scary. He doesn't know and he has hope that his brothers might come back for him. They do not. And he winds up, and we know the trajectory, and he winds up in Egypt by Allah's will for a very important purpose, because he's going to be the leader of a prophetic community, of the Muslimin within the ancient Egyptian context. There were prophetic movements in ancient Egypt. Some of it has been long hidden, but we can read into the Quran and see, if we unpack it, we see the prophetic tradition is there, and was there even before potentially. So Allahu, alim. But I wanted to think about this. So I've made the comparison of the 10 brothers to Cain and Yusuf to Abel. Peace be upon Yusuf and Abel, who were beloved to their mothers and fathers, to Adam and Hawa, and Yaqub and Rebecca, Rivka, in the Hebrew, I believe. So let's think about this. Let's flip the story around and think about it from Cain's perspective and the 10 brothers' perspective. So many years pass. In the Christian tradition, Cain is often is equaled with evil. It's, you know, he's given an equivalency with evil and corruption. I'm not sure that we should read Cain as evil. Now, clearly he engaged in sin and wrongdoing, and he was exiled from his family and everything that he loved. Biblically, he was said to be marked, and there are lots of legends about him. But I want us to think, did he ever go through sorrow and mourning for his brother? Over the years, did he see two brothers, you know, or did he see, you know, two creatures, you know, maybe mammals being loving with one another, supportive of one another, or humans later that are being loving and supportive of one another, and regret having hurt his brother, regret what had happened. Maybe he has fond memories and he remembers the times they played together and helped one another and supported one another. He remembers his brother fondly, and he beats himself up about it. He begs Allah to forgive him. He tries to make Tawbah 1,000,000 times. Who knows? We don't know all the other stories that may be associated with this. Did it hurt him that he'd lost his family? You know, or did he do what so many people are doing nowadays, and you know, he kills his brother and then he loses family, and then maybe he blames his brother, or he blames somebody else. Maybe he didn't take responsibility for himself. A lot of people sin and then don't take responsibility for themselves and their actions. So no tawbah is going to be accepted if we don't take responsibility for the harm we've caused ourselves or others with our words, with our actions, with our repetitive thoughts that we just continue on. And so now we think about, so that's Cain. Perhaps Cain attempted to repent many, many times. Perhaps he went to his grave heartbroken and devastated, in exile, having lost everything he loved and everyone he loved. Now let's think about the 10 brothers. You know, we know that there is a reconciliation later, but we don't know the extent of that reconciliation, because Yusuf is in a power position and he grants his brothers, according to the stories, he grants them land, he grants them opportunity. And so he's a powerful man, and he knows that they could, Yusuf with a word, he could have them tortured, beaten, executed. So for how many of them made a sincere reconciliation with their brother, a heartfelt reconciliation? Perhaps some of the ones who tried to defend him early on, but didn't have enough power within their group of 10, didn't have a strong enough voice and just went with the group. Perhaps some of them were happy to see their brother and thankful, and maybe they prayed for him over the years and prayed he was still alive, and regretted it and cried tears for him and cried tears over what they'd done. We don't know. We're speculating, but we're thinking, the way that you think about stories is read them in a real world sense, because we know people around us who have gone through similar things. Every story of the prophets, those are archetypical stories, and you may have gone through that type of experience, some equivalency. And this is a way for you to think about it and to connect with the prophets and their experiences. So perhaps there was a heartfelt reconciliation. Maybe some of them lived in regret. And by the way, those who might have regretted among the 10 brothers, you know, they might have had an opportunity late at night, that night that they dropped him in the well, and maybe the nights after. Maybe they had an opportunity to go back to the well in the middle of the night and bring him food, to comfort him, to bring a rope, a ladder, and at least get him out of the well. But then maybe they were concerned that that would get them in more trouble. And maybe if the brothers had discussed killing Yusuf, maybe they were under threat of being killed by their brothers for snitching, for telling on them. So it could be sophisticated. So there's group peer pressure within families sometimes. And families do many dishonorable things. So we have many broken families in the Ummah right now. And so I want us to really think about the stories in the Quran and see how we can derive beautiful meaning that's going to help us to become whole as individuals, as families, to purify ourselves and purify our families and environments so that we can heal and purify our Ummah. So anyway, we should think about the Quran and the prophetic tradition and the stories of the prophets from many different angles. We have not nearly exhausted the meanings, the potential meanings, and we should be problem solving with the stories to find ways that will be of benefit to us and our loved ones and to the world as a whole. So anyway, there's much practical benefit within the stories of the prophets. So until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.